oh, we didn't play down to competition. We didn't overlook the Cardinals. We didn't, take any opponent lightly. If you still sit back and believe the bullshit that Mike Tomlin spews out in his post game press conferences or his preview press conferences or Tomlin Tuesday or whatever, you're just delusional at this point, man. And this matchup has, in more ways than one, lost all of its luster going into Thursday night. What is going on, everybody? I am Mac, back with another preview video. This is my Week 14 preview for the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Follow on Instagram, link is in the box below. So, if you're going to stay up and watch this absolute snooze fest, hey man, all the power in the world to ya. Personally, I don't want to, but I think I may as well do it anyway because, like an idiot, I'm going to sit down here and hope for the best and hope for real changes to be made with the Pittsburgh Steelers when I know at the back of my mind that it's just simply not going to happen. So, you take a look at both these teams. Years ago, these two would have been playing each other in the AFC Championship game. And nowadays, they're playing each other in the toilet bowl because both these teams are very similar for all the wrong reasons. Let's take a look at the Patriots first before I get into what I'm going to talk about with the Steelers. And it ain't good, to put it lightly, because if you expect me to sit back and take this team seriously for the rest of the season, you got another thing coming. So, the strong point with New England this season, obviously, is their defense. This is a 2-10 team coming into Thursday night. They have pretty much been punting the season away, and they made history Sunday against the Chargers for all the wrong reasons, because no team since 1938 has lost 3 or more games in a row when they allowed 10 or fewer points. And the Patriots have somehow managed to do that. That should tell you enough how strong their defense is, but just how anemic their offense is. You look at them on the defensive side of things, they play deep defense and they got some really good linebackers that, with the run game, when opponents try to throw their run game at them, they're great at preventing blocks. They're great at shedding them. They got real capable blitzers. They come in with the sub packages. They got real good hand usage, and they don't really give up very many explosive plays. And mainly, they've strived with the third down defense, and they're currently third when it comes in rush defense, which I think serves as a big mismatch for us personally, because sure, the run game is what got us to this point already. Jaylen Warren has had phenomenal weeks going back to that Titans game on November 2nd. By the way, sitting down here, 35 days since Kenny Pickett has thrown a touchdown pass. But anyway, Jaylen Warren has really been the bulk of this offense. He has been the offense, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. So I think definitely when it comes to Mitch Trubisky starting in this game for us, it's going to have to come down to running the ball. Plain and simple. And I think our defense coming into this matchup serves as a great matchup as well, because you take a look at New England, they're 28th in offense, which I am actually stunned that there are actually 6 teams that are worse than us offensively. New England's 28th in offense this year. Far cry from when they had Tom Brady, giving them the best offense in the league most years. And with their passing game, they're 24th, where we serve as 29th in passing, which makes a little more sense right there. But still, there are 3 other teams that are worse than us passing offensive-wise. I find that hard to believe. 22nd in rushing, we're 14th in rushing. And New England does have, here's where it makes sense though, New England is the worst scoring offense in the league, mainly because Bill Belichick has to be the most overrated general manager in the entire NFL. I mean, for sure, he's a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach. He's one of the greatest head coaches of all time. But it just seems like he hasn't been pushing the buttons, and he's been very stubborn and complacent when it comes to running the Patriots in the offseason. He did like nothing to help out their receiving core. He did nothing to like help out the passing game. And it shows because their leading receiver is a sixth round wide receiver. So I mean, far be it from the days where Tom Brady was just in the pocket and he was allowing receivers to get open and he was going for deep shots. And it's a far cry from that because they've had quarterback problems of their own this year. Mac Jones has just completely lost all confidence with himself as he has 12 picks on the season. So they'll be starting Bailey Zappe Thursday night, who I guess gives them a better chance at winning. But Bailey Zappe, I mean, he's no upgrade over Mac Jones. He has not thrown a touchdown pass this season. But hey, you know, going up against our defense, anything's possible. It's a very overrated defense outside of the pass rush. The pass defense has been very up and down this year, and the rush defense has just been very Jekyll and Hyde this year as well. But you look at New England's receivers, I mean, maybe Devonta Parker, maybe Hunter Henry, maybe Mike Gesicki. They have guys that can't really get open and cause separation when it comes to going up against the defensive backs. So, I mean, right there is where Minkah Fitzpatrick and JPJ have to come in and make an X factor, and they have to make an impact with this game. But I don't even know the status of that because I get that New England is a little banged up coming to this game. I think Ramondre Stevenson's doubtful for this game, so I think Ezekiel Elliott is probably going to be the bulk of New England's run game this Thursday night, but even he's a little roughed up, and he's aging, and he's just not what he was down in Dallas. And another former Steeler, Juju Smith-Schuster, is making his homecoming as well, so back-to-back weeks of former Steelers coming back to Pittsburgh, but even Juju, he's done nothing with New England this year. Absolutely nothing. And, you know, it's funny because he was our lead receiver in that 2018 game, which is the last time we actually beat the Patriots was back in 2018. He was our lead receiver that season, so it just really goes to show you how irrelevant that Juju Smith-Schuster truly is because he needs a number one receiver to stand out. How do you think Juju was getting all those targets and how he was getting, you know, open and causing problems and mismatches on defense? It's because we had Antonio Brown at the time, and defenses were locked on him, double teaming him, so therefore the pressure was off of Juju for allowing him to make a play. But it just goes to show you Juju's just not ready to take that next step forward to being a true number one receiver, as he's had limited practice time as well. But like I said, he's just done nothing with New England. He needs a number one receiver to truly stand out and pop out on any other team. And let's face it, the Patriots just don't have that number one guy. Offensive line hasn't been much better for them either. They've allowed 30 sacks on the season. So, I mean, if the pass rush for us is to come out and get it right and get it together, it's going to be Thursday night. TJ Watt, I mean, he was in visible pain against Arizona on Sunday, but he is expected to play in this game. I think it was just a little bit of soreness for him, a little bit of pain setbacks. So I think he's going to be good to go for this game, thankfully. So him and Highsmith absolutely got to step up here. New England also -9 turnover differential this year, which I think also serves as a good factor for us because we're good at creating turnovers. So, I mean, those are good standouts as far as defense goes for us this season. The defense has been very underwhelming this year, but we do know how to put the pressure on, and we do know how to cause turnovers. So I definitely think the pass rush and the turnovers have to be an X factor and a big component for how we're going to pull out the victory on Thursday night. Because looking at us, 26th offensively, 21st in defense, 29th in the pass, 14th in the rush. And of course, we just got. I hate to be that guy that sits back and uses the injury excuses. I'm not using it as an excuse. But look who's potentially not going to be in this game. We know Kenny Pickett is probably going to be out until at least New Year's Eve. So don't even talk about him for this game. Landon Roberts dealing with a groin injury. He had limited practice time. Minka Fitzpatrick has been full all week, and he's expected to play despite having that broken hand against the Cardinals. So I'm not too worried about Minka's availability here, but I do expect him to play. Montravius Adams is back, but then there's Keanu Benton, who's also been limited, and I think that is a really big player that we need coming into this game if Landon Roberts is not going to play on Thursday night. We need that nose tackle up the middle to stop the run, and Keanu Benton definitely has been that guy in his rookie season. Isaac Seumalo has been limited all week as well. Cam Hayward has been resting as well, so I don't know about his availability. And now a new one coming up with Najee Harris. He suffered a knee setback, and he did not practice all week. So I just find that very odd, as he didn't really seem hurt against Arizona, but now all of a sudden he has a knee problem. I don't know where that came from. But we have all these injuries, we have all these setbacks coming in this game, and this is just why, outside of the first game of the season and Thanksgiving games, it's why I hate Thursday games. The NFL, it just to me, it's a big contradiction of what the NFL is and what Roger Goodell is all about. He preaches player safety all the time. He's so hell-bent on keeping superstars and players healthy, with the concussion protocol, with the injuries, with the new rules being implemented, with the quarterback rules, but yet he won't do anything about Thursday games because Jeff Bezos loves to throw in his billions of bucks going on around, and it puts it puts money in Goodell's bank account. It's a big contradiction. You're so worried about player safety in the NFL, but yet all Thursday games do is just create setbacks for players who are coming off playing a Sunday game on a short week. It makes absolutely no sense. You got to get rid of Thursday games. I get it. Like I said, I like Thanksgiving games. I like the first game of the season being on a Thursday, but that's it. Anyway, it's going to come down to who has the better defense in this one. I really don't know what else I can say about this one. Pretty much your key to victory for this game is that you just got to stay awake if the offense doesn't put you to sleep already, because this game's going to be a sure cure for insomnia right here. The Patriots have no true number ones. I will go as far as say right now, we don't have a true number one. We pump up George Pickens to be that true number one, and we like to say that Pat Freiermuth is our best target offensively across the middle of the field. But looking at us offensively, we're no better than New England offensively because we really don't have true number ones either. So that's really all I got to say about the preview for here. But to me, it really says a lot about Mike Tomlin and the type of coach that he is when we have to sit back and say that, hey, the 2-10 New England Patriots are coming into town and you're in trouble. Because this has all the makings for another Tomlin special, as we like to call it. And it'd be one thing if, you lost to Arizona in a way that it was like they were hanging around the entire game. You just couldn't put them away, and in the end, you got lazy on a drive, or they came up with a good defensive stop, and they beat you. You got dominated by them. And that just goes to show the type of coach that he is. How can you sit back and say this guy is a Hall of Fame head coach when this has been a repeatable offense for him his entire career? It's always about playing down to your opponents. Whether it's the margin of what you lost to, which we lost to 14 by Arizona, who they lost to, which was Arizona, in years prior, that Monday night game in 2020 against the Bengals, in 2019, the Jets, 2018, the Raiders, 2017, the Bears. I could go on and on and on, but I'll stop there. You get the point. How they lost, like I said, like if Arizona just hung in there and they came up clutch in the end and beat you, whatever, it happens. You got destroyed by them. And I already know people sit back and go like, well, Kenny Pickett got hurt. It's the offensive coordinator. Here's what I say about that. Stop using that as an excuse. Because at the end of the day, all these players over the past 16 years have come and gone. Coordinators have come and gone. Guess what the one constant is? The one common denominator is? It's Mike Tomlin. And it's pretty fitting that he said, well, we looked like a JV football team out there. Oh, cool, Mike. So you're calling this a JV football team pretty fittingly because you're a JV football type of head coach if you can't beat a team that's 2-10, and now you got another 2-10 team coming in, and that's pretty much saying that you're in trouble. This is the culture that the Pittsburgh Steelers have established ever since you've been head coach pretty much. And it's been covered up by an elite defense and a Hall of Fame quarterback. I know, we only have to win 2 more games so Mike Tomlin can have his precious 9-win season that he cares so desperately about. That don't fly with us, buddy. Because all the way back in week 14, or all the way back in week 4, when you got blown out by the Houston Texans, a team that was having a rookie head coach at the time, a rookie quarterback, albeit the Texans are a good team right now. But at the time, they were missing 5 linemen, and you absolutely had to go blitzkrieg on them, and you didn't do that. You could say what you want about Terrell Austin on the defensive coordinator, but Mike Tomlin, we know, controls the defense. And it all makes sense now. Well, I mean, that game against Houston officially broke me for good with Mike Tomlin, and it only confirmed real past suspicions that I've had about Tomlin in the past, going back to that wild card game against the Browns in 2021. But now it's meshing together. You can say it's the quarterback. You can say it's the personnel. You can say it's the players or the young guys. And I get that Mike Tomlin doesn't go out there and deliver the late hits. I get that Mike Tomlin doesn't go out there and commit defensive holding penalties. I get that Mike Tomlin doesn't go out there and throw interceptions. But you know what? The fact that these late hits are coming up, like Landon Roberts did, like Miles Killebrew did. The fact that players cannot get even lined up in time, so that way we have to waste a timeout to avoid running out the clock. How bad the communication is 2/3 into the season, which is inexcusable on its own. I mean, for God's sake, you got TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Cam Hayward on the defensive side of the ball. That alone should contribute to good communication right there. And I get that the offense, you know, they still have to find that groove with the communication. But you have more than enough veterans to come on the scene and have good communication. The lack of communication, the lack of preparedness, the lack of mental ability. And you see it when players only care about dancing around and looking good, like Deontay Johnson's dancing around when he had the most meaningless garbage time touchdown in NFL history, and he's dancing around like a clown. That's all on Mike Tomlin. This guy's supposed to be a Hall of Fame head coach, and yet we're in trouble when a team as bad as the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots come into town. Both teams were 2-10 going into said games. And now you're pretty much just confirming that Mitch Trubisky's going to be the guy for the rest of the season because you like his aggressiveness and because Mitch Trubisky is going to be aggressive with throwing the ball. Yeah, okay, he's going to be aggressive with throwing the ball. We know what Mitch is going to do. He's going to be aggressive with reading his first option, and he's going to be aggressive with not trying to turn the ball over. In other words, it's the same type of QB that Kenny Pickett is. But you like his aggression. I don't get it. Basically, Mitch just needs to make the necessary throws, and Mitch needs to take some shots down the field because we know he's going to try to squeeze one into tight coverage. But you like him because of his aggression. And in his preview on Monday that he gave, because it's a short week, he was asked a question about the confidence in Mitch Trubisky and why is he the next man up over Mason Rudolph. And Tomlin says it's because he gets the most reps, and when you got a three-man rotation with that, that's how it goes. Which, it makes enough sense for him to say that, but here's what I have to counter that with. If I asked Tomlin that question to begin with, I would immediately follow that up with saying, Mike, I understand that, but in the grand scheme of things, what does Mitch Trubisky give you that Mason Rudolph doesn't give you? And I'm willing to bet money that if I asked him that question after he gave that answer, I'm willing to bet money that Tomlin would have just stood at the podium with a blank look on his face and wait like 20 seconds to pull some random ass answer out of his ass. You have to go with the overall productivity. And overall, it's not like one of them are head and shoulders better than the other. But what's the biggest difference between Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky and even Kenny Pickett at this point? Mason Rudolph throws the deep ball. Mason Rudolph plays like he has nothing to lose. These two guys, Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, play it way too safe. And you've seen it long enough to know that. So pretty much as far as I'm concerned, you're throwing in the towel for this game already, Mike Tomlin. You're throwing in the towel for the rest of the season. Because this, in my opinion, is your last winnable game of the year. Guess who the final four teams that we got to play are after Thursday night? Sure, you got 2 extra days of rest following this game. But unlike unlike the first Thursday game that we had on the year where we stayed at home to play the Packers, we got to go on the road next weekend to play the Indianapolis Colts next Saturday night, which I know we always beat the Colts. We have not lost to the Colts since, ironically, the year that we won the Super Bowl, but Indianapolis has been red hot lately, and they are still very much alive in the playoff picture. That ain't going to be an easy game. Then the following Saturday is our final home game of the year when the Bengals come into town, which, yes, they are without Joe Burrow for the rest of the season, but Jake Browning turned in a really solid performance against the Jaguars Monday night in a Bengals surprise victory over Jacksonville. And you can bet that the Bengals are going to do anything they can to spoil any inkling of hope that we have for the playoffs. That is not going to be an easy game. And then week 17, you go out to Seattle New Year's Eve to play the Seahawks. That ain't going to be an easy game because, sure, the Seahawks are slumping right now, but if there's any head coach in the league that is no stranger to turning things around late in the season, it's Pete Carroll. He has done that several times over with the Seahawks since becoming head coach, and with the firepower that they have on offense with Geno Smith and the targets they got, you can bet that that won't be an easy game. And then the toughest game of the year, in my honest opinion, the toughest game of the year. I thought the 49ers was the toughest game of the year, but at least that was week 1. But week 18, you're at the Ravens, who I have literally no doubt in my mind will be duking it out with Jacksonville, Miami, and Kansas City for the number 1 seed in the AFC. And they will be looking to end your season officially in week 18. That's the toughest game that we have left. Not that the others aren't tough games, but you get the drift. These are 4 tough games that you have left after Thursday night. And I know Tomlin's going to sit back and go like, oh, it's the Patriots. Oh, they don't have Tom Brady. They haven't had Tom Brady in 3 years. It's Bailey Zappe. They can't score on offense. Their defense is all they got. All we have to do is just go through the motions and win. You go in with that mindset like you usually do against teams like this, guess what? New England's going to run all over you, and they're going to beat you. Keep thinking that, Tomlin. It's worked wonders for you over the years, now hasn't it? Because in 12 matchups that you've had against Bill Belichick's Patriots, as your tenure as the head coach for the Steelers, you want to know how many times you've beaten the Patriots? 3 times. You're 3-9 against Bill Belichick as a head coach. And while Belichick is known for exposing weaknesses in other teams, he has especially exposed your weaknesses, Tomlin. And he's going to expose your biggest weakness Thursday night, which is teams that are tanking and bad to mediocre competition. Tomlin's had a lot of bad games throughout his career, but his worst games have come against the Patriots. There is no denying that, no matter who their quarterback is. Pittsburgh Steelers, you are not ruining my birthday. You just aren't. Because I will not get pumped up if we win this game. And if we lose this game, I will not be surprised one bit. So you are not ruining my birthday. But I will say this. You lose this game Thursday night, no team in the NFL and no NFL fan should ever take you seriously ever again. Because you would have lost to arguably the 2 worst teams in the NFL in less than a week. In a span of 4 days. You would have lost to arguably 2 of the worst teams who are just looking for another quarterback and want Caleb Williams to be that guy. Like I said the other day, you're in win now mode. So you can't even say, well, it's because we're tanking. It's because we're, trying to get some better draft capital. It's way too late for that. You're going to be middle of the pack at best when it comes to the draft. You have to make your investments worth it now, like I said the other day. You drop this game, no fan and no team should ever take this team seriously because you can't even beat teams that you're supposed to be beating. And that's really all I got to say about this game. Pittsburgh Steelers, I really don't know what else to say. You have to win this game. You just have to. You don't have a choice at this point. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I am Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.